Ladies and gentlemen, now it's Too Late with Alan Mosley.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Guys, welcome back for another episode of It's Too Late. I am your host, Alan Mosley, joined as always by the number one producer in late night. It's Dave Willimowski. Dave! Dave, how are you doing, buddy? He's even got his little tie on.
Yeah, I'm always, it's an important show every week. I'm doing good. Back working, same old stuff. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. In fact, we tried. It's been almost a month ago. We tried to do a sports ball episode right before the start of the NFL postseason. And we were going to have, of course, sports ball with my friend Mike Maharrey and Alan Mosley. And then Mike, in an outrage that I told him that I thought the Bucks would win, stormed off set at the end of Desk 1, and he wasn't here for it. And then I just kind of ran through the teams really quick and then said, better luck next year, Dave. And we went to commercial break, and that was the end of it. But cooler heads have prevailed, and even though the NFL season is over because there's not a single game left to play that anyone gives a goddamn about, Mike rejoined us once again. Mike Maharrey, National Communications Director of the 10th Amendment Center. Mike, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, holla.
Dave, what the hell is that? Why isn't Mike in the whole
didn't
thing?
Set this one up. I thought you wanted picture-in-picture.
There I am.
There you go. Well, all right. There you go. Could you stop moving, Mike, please? All right.
He's got ants in his pants.
Mike,
you better be careful. I do have I am a flight risk. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. I don't remember, Mike. What was the last time that you were on? Not counting that episode at the start of January. I don't remember the last time you were on. What was the last time you were on?
We did a sports.
You're
ball.
doing it again. Why are we doing picture-in-picture, Dave? Jesus Christ. Just keep going. See, I can't even do anything. All right. No, keep going.
So, wow. We did do a sports ball. I think around the beginning of football season, like NFL preview.
Yeah. Oh, we did an NFL preview, and then that was it. And then we did an NFL post view.
Right. Which consisted of me rage quitting. And
yeah,
here we are. But I don't remember the last time we actually did an episode where I was like representing the 10th Amendment Center.
I don't remember either, because I specifically remember us talking about generic 10th Amendment news, and of course Defend the Guard was really big. But now, of course, it's a new year, it's a new legislative season, and something that we were talking about before the show starts is that a lot of bills. This is something that I learned from getting to see the inner workings of the 10th Amendment Center, is that you cover a lot of bills, but you expect to see a lot of those same bills again the next year. And I don't mean that in a good way. I mean that in a bad way, because those bills did not get signed into law the previous years. It was either they went to committee and then they just kind of, I've learned that there's so many different, it's right. Like you can go to committee and then you just sort of disappear, never to be seen or heard from again.
Exactly. It's like a black hole.
Or you can go to committee and then they actually have a vote and then it's voted down, and then there's never any debate. It never, I think a lot of people think that when Joe Bob introduces a bill, then, the whole House or the Senate gets together and they're all, pounding their canes on their podium and saying, well, I think this. That actually almost never happens, is what I've come to learn. Yeah. So what's going on with that, Mike?
Yeah, almost all of the bills that are introduced, I mean, out of all of those, very few ever end up actually going to the House or Senate floor. You'll see some states like Missouri, and you'll have a bill that's introduced and it never even gets assigned to a committee. because in that particular state, the Speaker of the House has the power to determine when something goes to committee. So
Oh.
yeah, there's all kinds of ways to kill legislation before they ever make it to the floor. Florida, they have 3 committee hearings in Florida before it ever goes to the chamber floor. So yeah, it's a pretty crazy process. It's almost amazing that anything gets done, but it would be better if nothing got done.
Now, I didn't know that about Missouri, where they just you introduce a bill and they just say nah, and they literally throw it in the trash can right in front of your face. I didn't know that one.
Right. I think they may actually have to assign it to a committee, but there's no deadline, so he can do it like the day before the crossover date when anything that hasn't gotten out of committee dies. So yeah, almost all of the states there are ways that leadership can kill a bill and make sure it doesn't move.
Well, that's one of the things too, is that in a lot of ways, most states are very similar in a lot of ways, but there's these random outliers of comma butts to what I just said. Of course, you have states like Nebraska, which are unicameral. There's not a House and a Senate, and I think they call themselves senators, right? They're just.
I think so, yeah.
Because they're one of the ones where they don't have House bill and Senate bill. It's some random bullshit acronym.
Yeah, I think it's like legislative device or something weird like that.
Yeah. But I think their professional titles is, I think they call themselves senators. But my favorite one is from, of course, your favorite state, Kentucky, where when you every bill gets assigned to a committee, but in Kentucky it gets assigned to the committee on committees, who then decides which committee it gets assigned to. I did not just make this up. This is real life.
Oh, it's a real thing. Yep. Actually, Utah has the same process, but they call all of their bills go to the rules committee first, and then the rules committee distributes them too. And again, yet another way that a bill can be killed and never get into the system, because that committee on committees can just decide, nah, and that's the end of it.
Well, far be it for me to jump around too much, because I kind of want to stay on the state level things for right now. But I know that a lot of people are getting an education right now in the mainstream news because they're following all these Senate confirmation hearings, right? Trump's cabinet, all these confirmation hearings, and people are learning that, well, they're having these little hearings where you're seeing, you have Bernie or Elizabeth Warren pounding the podium saying, but what about my laundered pharma money? And RFK saying, I can't catch a damn word of what he says. But that's not anything. That doesn't matter at all. That's just performative. And eventually the committee is going to have a vote, and the appointee has to pass that committee, and it then goes to the full Senate, kind of in a similar way that a bill would. It's got to pass the committee first and then go to the full Senate. And people are learning that this is why elections matter and why committee assignments matter, right? Because even if the Senate at large may favor one particular candidate or appointee or another, if they don't get out of committee, that's a wrap, right?
Yeah. Same thing happens in states. You'll have it's interesting because partisan politics plays such a huge role. I mean, I think everybody kind of has this intuitive understanding of that, but it's even bigger than you might think. Like, I've seen bills that Democrats would generally support, and they'll vote against it because a Republican sponsored it. I mean, literally, that's the reason. They don't want a Republican bill to move. And I've also seen, like, in the same party, if there's somebody who, like, the rest of the party caucus doesn't really like, they're kind of that renegade Republican or whatever, their legislation will get buried just to punish them personally, not based on the merits of the legislation at all.
Well, that just made something pop into my mind. Tell me if you can explain this one for me. Sometimes you will see bills. Now, I know at every level, but I see a lot of the state level bills. Sometimes you'll see a lot of co-sponsors, and sometimes it'll have bipartisan support, which that's always, you got to be cautious when you have bipartisan support, because that's when the stupid party and evil party get together, right? But sometimes you'll see a bill have bipartisan support, and sometimes you'll see a bill have like a bajillion co-sponsors. And you would think, I mean, a layman would say, well, surely if a bill has, 90 co-sponsors rather than just the one random doodah that introduced it, it has a good chance. But those bills oftentimes meet the exact same fate. They just disappear into the ether. So how can that be that a bill can have so many co-sponsors? I've even heard tell that sometimes bills will be co-sponsored, and then sometimes some of the co-sponsors will then vote against the bill. How does that happen?
And that goes back to this whole concept and reality of party leadership and how powerful, some of the speakers of the House or the presidents of the Senates or big committee chairs, if they don't want it to move, you could have 40 co-sponsors and they'll kill it anyway. And then you'll get the situation, this guy, he's approached by his colleague. Hey, will you co-sponsor my bill? If you co-sponsor my bill, I'll co-sponsor your bill. Sure, we'll, do this together. And then leadership will lean on him and say, you're not voting for this bill. And if you do vote for this bill, well, you might find yourself on a really sucky committee next session. So all of that kind of stuff plays into it. There's a whole lot more personal power plays and stuff like that going on.
Surely this hasn't happened again.
Surely
This wouldn't happen again, right, Dave?
Well, I can talk about bills, Well, actually,
Oh
I'd rather not talk
you
about
can
bills.
talk about some bills. Yeah. How many bills you got nowadays, Dave?
Oh, yeah. They're dropping.
I ask you how many you've got, and you just go, "Oh, yeah." That actually says it all.
Yeah.
Well, you and I were talking right before the show started that it's like, I've made more money than I've ever made, and yet somehow I'm like more scared. Yeah, like financially struggling. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Thanks a lot, Trump.
Yeah. Well, of course, what I was saying is you hear them saying all this stuff about how they're thinking of abolishing. We're gonna use tariffs, and then we're gonna abolish the IRS. And it's like, well, I don't think tariffs are a good thing, but I'm all for abolishing the IRS. But that's but that's contingent on, but that means all the stuff they do goes away. I don't want you to just close the building, but then I still get a bill in April. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the trick that they're going to pull. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Because my thing is,
AI will be taxing me.
Is that I actually made less last year than I did in 2023, and yet, I still owe. I'm gonna be after withholdings and all that. I'm gonna pay. I'll pay in $1,000 in taxes or something. But it's like, is that the trick? Wow. Is I should just have a bunch of kids? You think I should just be a dad?
You ever think about adoption?
No,
they just give them to you. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say.
I think I'm back.
Oh, hey, Mike. Welcome back.
That was actually a computer glitch and not an internet glitch.
Oh, good.
Yeah, well, in that case, everything is perfectly fine. This time, we actually just kept on doing the show, though. So.
Well, yeah, we didn't freak out.
Yeah.
There's no reason to freak out.
Well, on that note, since we're running out of time in the monologue, I guess it's more of a duologue tonight than a monologue. But you're also the metals guy. You're the precious metals guy, and I heard people talking this past week about gold hitting a new all-time high, but I didn't exactly see parades down the street of all of this new economic wealth and freedom. So what's going on with the price of gold?
Yeah, actually, I think it's set another all-time high today. It's just banging right now. Part of it, I won't get into the nuts and bolts of it, but there's some funky stuff going on because of the threat of tariffs, and people worried that there might be tariffs on imports and exports of gold and silver. It's causing a lot of gold to move out of London into the United States, and it's causing this kind of weird ripple effect in the futures market. And long story short, there are shortages of gold for physical delivery coming out of London, and that's kind of pushing the price higher and creating a lot of instability in the market. On top of the fact that the reality is we still have quite a bit of price inflation, and I think investors are still looking at gold because despite some reasons for optimism with the Trump administration and the economy. There's still some underlying things that the president doesn't really control, and I think a lot of people kind of recognize that and are hedging and making sure they've got their risk covered.
Now I see, because the 10th Amendment Center covers this a lot, I see a lot of state level legislation that has to do with gold and silver. Sometimes you'll see states passing bills saying, well, we're gonna treat gold and silver as current as money. We're not gonna charge taxes on certain things related to gold and silver. We're gonna start our own state bullion depositories. But what is I guess the question that I would have if I'm just the random cynic on the street and I see that, oh well, I mean I guess on the shorthand it's good that this got passed and the state considers this to be something worth looking at. But what's the practical effect of Vermont starting a gold and silver depository?
Well, I think it depends on the specific initiative relating to gold or silver. So like a depository, that creates the opportunity for a state to hold gold and silver reserves just like a national government does, which allows them to shield their state resources from the effects of inflation and the depreciating dollar. So it's the same benefit that it has to a country holding gold and silver. From a kind of a broader perspective, all of this initiative to kind of support sound money, gold and silver at the state and local levels, it's more than anything, it's kind of like opening a door. It's creating a space for individuals to take action and utilize gold and silver and create an environment where it's possible to have currency competition with the US dollar, which is gradually becoming more and more worthless. And so when there are kind of a better playing field for gold and silver, it opens the door for individuals to use it. And it's interesting because if you look at some place like New Hampshire, where there's kind of this a little bit more of a libertarian mindset, they don't have any taxes on gold and silver at all in New Hampshire. And you have seen just this kind of development over the years of I guess what you might call an underground economy of using precious metals in everyday transactions. That kind of currency competition could ultimately undermine the Federal Reserve's monopoly on money, which would be the ultimate goal because, again, it's rapidly devaluing. The government is literally stealing your wealth every single day through inflation. So being able to use gold and silver creates a better money and the possibility of a better monetary system down the road. It opens the door is really what it does.
All right, real quick, Celeste says she likes the kitty cat on your shelf, but that wasn't the real quick. Before we take our first break, sometimes, Mike, I see people, it's like your more conspiratorial thing. People will say, well, we ought to audit Fort Knox. We ought to audit Fort Knox. We ought to see if the gold is there. Mike, do you think the United States actually holds the amount of gold it says it does, or do you think that gold's not there?
That's a good question. My gut is that it's probably there, but I don't scoff at people who think it might not be. There are enough red flags. There's enough things that I've seen where there's been kind of some sketchy paper audits and stuff out there. And just knowing the way the government functions, I wouldn't be shocked if all of that gold wasn't there. But I don't have enough evidence to really say, oh, it's not there. So, anything's possible, but my tendency is to kind of assume everything is above board until I have definitive proof to the contrary.
Well, speaking of having definitive proof, we have definitive proof of the 7th annual It's Too Late live show happening Saturday,
I'll be there.
May 7th. Mike's going to be there. Mike may not even realize this, but we're actually bringing back the live show this year, so Mike has to work.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah. Actually, Mike and I haven't discussed this yet. So everybody, if you just give us a moment. Mike, I was thinking this year at the live show, we would do that thing from a few years ago, where after the first segment, you would like run behind the desk and I would go sit on the chair. And then you...
Yeah, that was fun. Let's do that.
Okay, all right, we're going to do that. And Dave, you will also be there. All right, guys, we're going to be back with the meme of the week in the viewer mail right after this commercial break. Good boy.
Cookie time.
A winning attitude is the first step toward a triumphant finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's bullshit, though, am I right? Yeah, like, okay, I feel better about being broke. I'm still broke, you know. But, well, it says a triumphant finish. My triumphant finish is 233 days, 2 hours, and 29 minutes. So, you know, just kind of keep that in mind. Actually, if people want my triumphant finish to be further down the road than that, then they could actually become a monthly supporter of Alan Mosley TV at the link down in the show notes or over there in chat, over whichever browser you're watching. I don't know. Over there in chat, you go to that site, you sign up for a monthly membership, you put in your credit card information, and just see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think of the dumb shit you spend $10 on, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Spend $10 on this dumb shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Dave buys like his whole family subscriptions to this fucking train wreck.
I pay to be here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't want to watch commercials, right? You just want to watch the show.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, Dave.
Yes, Alan.
What time is it?
It's time for meme of the week.
I don't even remember what these were.
Oh. I didn't prepare myself. Wow.
Could you be in a line of work where your work is predicated on like bad things happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be weird. Yeah.
Like could you be like a mortician, you think? Could you run a funeral parlor?
No, I don't like that.
Could you do that, Mike?
I don't think I could. Although some would argue
Jesus,
that
here we fucking go with this shit again. It's like if I could just get no, it fixes itself. God damn it! I was gonna say if I could just get Dave in the other corner, then it's like you guys are my conscience, and y'all are fighting it out over what crazy shit I'm gonna say on the show. Now that you closed Mike, if you bring him back, I bet it'll be small again. Look at that! It did it again! Jesus! If I had a real producer, man.
It'll be small again is not the words that I want to hear when I pop up on the screen.
Yeah, well, Now I'm sitting here having to do all this stuff live, and people are seeing what's behind the curtain. It ruins the magic because you got to click that button, and now you're just a different. You're not the right size. You're just a different size.
All
right,
a third size.
So what I was gonna say is that I think that some would argue that my work at the 10th Amendment Center is dependent on bad things happening to people.
Yeah.
Politics, right? Bad things happening to people.
Well, I see people say that people make that argument about the whole Big Pharma thing, right? It's like well, Big Pharma obviously pushes against any reform and change because it's like they're not trying to give you a cure. They're trying to give you a prescription. Those are not actually the same thing. And I mean, and I kind of get that, but I also think that there's a lot of people that if they stop taking all their medications today, they're going to be dead within a week.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, I kind of get what you're saying, and I know that there's some people that have gone the route of like, a healthy diet and exercise, and then they get off all their pills, and I think that that's really cool. The problem is that they don't do that first part, right? Like most of the people that you say that if they just ate right and exercised, they wouldn't have to take those pills, but they're not going to do that. That's the problem.
That sucks.
Yeah, and there's some pills that you have to take, not going to help to have diet or exercise. Like I was on blood thinners when I had heart arrhythmia. I mean, there's really not any way to fix your heart arrhythmia with, at least not the kind that I had. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we have a bonus meme. Check out the bonus meme. Oh no.
Oh.
Mike, do you believe the official narrative of 9/11?
Oh.
We're talking about a question out of left field.
It's the same answer as the gold in Fort Knox, dude.
Look, they might have gold at the epicenter of 9/11, but I don't have enough evidence. Is that what you meant, or?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I don't believe the official narrative. I also don't believe that people went into the towers and rigged up bombs. So.
Yeah. I mean, I always defer to the old Ron Paul answer. Which, boy, if there's one thing that remains true, no matter what's going on, no matter who gets elected, no matter what happens, whether it's good or bad, even if someone does something good and they act like they just invented the wheel, you can always go back 5 minutes and say, "Oh, look, there's Ron Paul saying that."
Yeah,
that's been happening a lot in the last couple of weeks. By the way, I've been seeing a lot of that. So and I don't know, I know that I'm supposed to. The right way to accept that is to say, well, I'm glad that some of his ideas are hitting the mainstream. But the cynical way of saying it is like, well, yeah, if you dumb fucks would have listened like 20 years ago, then we wouldn't be in this situation. So I kind of defer to the Ron Paul answer because they used to always try to play that I gotcha game with him whenever he was on national TV and be like, well, Congressman Paul, your supporter said this totally reasonable thing. You don't believe that nonsense, do you? And his answer would always be that, well, it's not that I believe or don't believe any one thing. It's that the government invites conspiracy by constantly being lying, corrupt shitbags. My words, not his. And it's like, so since they've been caught lying thousands of times on things both big and small, then why would we then believe the next thing, no matter how germane it may be?
Right.
Which I could see why the reporters would be upset, because that kind of applies to them too.
It sure does.
How are we doing on time, Dave?
We're getting kind of tight.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and answer all the viewer mail starting now. I haven't decided yet if this episode's a train wreck or good.
Got time.
Yeah, it can go either way. Justin Campbell writes, Dear Alan and Dave and Mike, do you celebrate Black History Month by eating watermelon and fried chicken every day, or is it just on the weekends? I know you got to watch your figure, so I understand if you just do the weekends.
Wow.
You see the kind of audience we've developed here, Mike?
Yes.
So one thing I think I've never really understood the whole, black people, they like fried chicken. Who the fuck doesn't like fried chicken?
Oh, it's delicious.
I was thinking that. I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, my wife will tell you black people like watermelon and fried chicken, but it's in white people, right?
Yeah. We always
Good
had
stuff.
Yeah, we had watermelon and fried chicken. I don't even see how that's controversial. But anyway. So Justin, I'm telling your employers on you.
Yeah.
How do you what's this cheese? How do you pronounce this cheese? It's EDAM. How do you pronounce that?
EDAM?
Yeah, how do you pronounce that cheese? How do you pronounce that word?
I've never heard of that.
Is it just Edam? I think it is.
Edam? That sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just cheese.
Plausible.
It's just cheese from the Netherlands. Anyway, Andrew Avery writes, Dear Alan and Dave, is Edam the only cheese that is made backwards?
Took me a minute.
I hope Andrew comes to the show this year.
Me too.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've told
Especially
Andy
the live show.
literally every single year that we're going to have him do like a type 5, and every year he says, "Oh no."
Oh,
I don't think he really even wants people to
Wow.
know he's there. He just he distances himself from his own product, which is probably something we should start working on over the next 7 months and change. But anyway,
try. Yeah.
Top Lobster writes, Dear Alan and Dave, he's talking about the meme that we used for our viewer mail, which was, you've heard of jorts, and now check out Jews, because it was shoes that were made of denim.
Jean shoots.
Yeah, so Jews, yeah. He said, what do you call a pile of these? A pile of Jews is a bank.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Because you know how, like a coven
Yeah.
of witches and, like
A murder of crows.
yeah. You have a bank of Jews. Because it was so late. Like, you're right on it with fucking Andy.
Kind of my thing. Yeah.
Jesus. But it just demonstrates that you know how to do it. You just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, they're right there.
So proud of yourself. And all the things you said in the pre-show that we said was funny, and then I said he won't do it again. Then he didn't. I knew he wouldn't. Mike. Aaron Kittner writes, Dear Alan and Dave and Mike, what do you do when all of your friends have become Mondays? Now, see, that's a little lore. So,
Yeah.
because, we're not, I know we're having this whole like First Amendment free speech, like revival thing going on, but there's still certain things that if you call those people things and all of a sudden, yada, 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 you're no longer getting hundreds or thousands of views on Twitter like we aren't anymore, if you notice, because I said bad things about the little hats, and so we just boom, instantly lost 90% of our traffic over there. So I for one love calling my friends this word, but you can't use that word anymore, so now you have to call them Mondays, because Mondays are, Dave,
Gay.
correct.
Gay.
Yeah. So that was right, but you were so terrified. Like, it's my
Am I allowed
fault.
to use that word?
It's my fault for expecting you to be able to do a callback to something we've said on the show before. All right.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago, 7 days. Yeah. Gary writes, Dear Alan and Dave, now that Trump is apparently going to take over the Gaza Strip, would that make a good vacation destination in a year or two? No.
Oh, no.
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 It's going to take
Mike-
more than 2 years. It's going to take longer than that to get the hotels and the golf
Yeah.
courses and all of that stuff built. I mean, that's at least a 5-6 year time horizon there.
Yeah.
Fences.
It's going to take them a lot less time than that to blow them up. Like moments. So,
There's that.
yeah. Did you
Be a
did you hear-
firecracker of a vacation then.
Yeah, so here I was I was sitting here scribbling down notes for a show where me and Mike were going to be talking about all the good things that have happened so far in January and in early February. And then in the time it took me to finalize my notes, have dinner, and get ready to do the show tonight, Trump says we're taking over Gaza. Okay, so people that are keeping track, so the 51st state is Canada. The 52nd state is Greenland. The 53rd
Greenland,
state
yeah.
is Panama. And the 54th state
I forgot
is
about Panama.
the Gaza Strip.
Wow. We are expanding.
Yeah. It's gonna be so funny when after all of that the Democrats control the Senate. Isn't that how funny it's gonna be? All right. So Gary, no, you're just gonna want to go. Actually,
no.
Gary, I know a good vacation destination, and that would be beautiful Columbia, Tennessee. for the 7th annual It's
In
Too
May.
Late live show happening Saturday, May 17th. And Mike will be there,
Yeah.
and Dave will be there, and I'll be there. And right now, it's probably about it. Yeah. I guess the rest of your...
Sloth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the sloth will be there. What other Liberty event can you go to where you get to hold a little baby kangaroo and pet a sloth? Come on.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like,
Fun.
would you rather pet a sloth or pet Tom Woods?
Ooh.
I'm going sloth.
There you go.
I don't know. I already saw the sloth.
Jesus. I'm sitting out. All right. Thanks, Dave. Now I'm going to send this clip to Tom. All right. And finally this evening, Mary Lynn Wilimowski writes, Dear Alan
Oh.
and Dave.
Oh. And Mike.
And Mike. When putting away leftover food, do you choose the right size container to put it into, or do you always pick one that's too small and then have to get a larger one, thus creating one more dirty dish for no reason at all?
Hmm.
Wait, hold
That's a
on.
good question.
Dave?
Oh.
Dave?
Well, you know, it's like we only have limited space in the fridge. We're blessed with a lot of leftovers, a lot of food,
Mhm.
and so it's like I'm playing that Indiana Jones thing where I'm like I'm looking at the leftovers, I'm looking at the Pyrex bowl or the Tupperware, and I'm thinking this is gonna fit. It's gonna fit right in that slot in the fridge, and then it doesn't fit, and I'm like, well, I can't just throw away some of the food and keep it, even though it's all going to get thrown away. I just can't do it. So, yeah, I end up getting the bigger thing.
I feel like I'm getting some mixed messages here because you said you're blessed to have so many leftovers, but you said it in a way that implied that maybe just too much was made or people didn't eat enough.
Well, I like to cook, and I do usually overdo it a little bit. I'm getting better at it. We'll see.
And then you said that you're sitting here contemplating the leftovers and then ended it with, it's all going to get thrown away anyway. Well, if it's all
Yeah.
going to get thrown away anyway, then why are you putting the leftovers in the fridge?
Because I have to. I'm still good at that point.
But that really doesn't get to the bottom of it, though, for Mary, does it? Because Mary's question was, why are there now 2 dirty dishes instead of 1?
Because I misjudged. I'm not perfect.
The first step to acceptance. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
Mary, Dave's not perfect.
You gotta love me where I'm at.
Notice he didn't say he was going to change.
No.
He's not going to do anything different.
Goodness, no.
Yeah.
I think that spot's clean.
But do you clean the bowl though?
I rinse it out. I do a lot of dishes around here. I help out a lot. Mary does a lot with the schoolwork, homeschooling and stuff. So I do a lot around here.
Mm-hmm.
And she notices. She's thankful. We're actually pretty happy.
Now
We're
we've transitioned to she needs to be
Yeah.
thankful. Yeah.
No, she is. She doesn't need to.
All right. Well, on that note, guys, we're going to be back with more It's Too Late with Mike Maharrey of the 10th Amendment Center right after this commercial break. Don't go away. Your ad could be playing right here, reaching thousands of potential customers. Sadly, it's not, but it could be. Find out how to be an advertised sponsor if it's too late. Email us at tgsallenmosley@gmail.com. That's tgsallenmosley@gmail.com.
Uh,
That's weak. You all right? You feeling all right?
yeah, there was a
Okay.
more heart in that. I don't know.
All right. You already know what's going to happen, right? You're going to hit Mike, and Mike's going to be like up here.
Yeah. You want to work on it now?
Might as well just knock it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. There it is. Look at that. It's like every yeah. We're just doing it over again, over and over and over. It's crazy.
It's purgatory.
God.
Well, it was just Groundhog Day.
Oh,
Yeah.
There we go.
But I mean, y'all are the more theological types. Like purgatory's not hell, though, right? That doesn't mean that you're evil and deserve to
It's
suffer.
not real.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I'm glad all that shit's not real. That takes a lot off
Yeah,
of
that's
my mind.
pretend.
Okay. All right. I kind of always thought you guys were just conning me. Now I'm glad I know it. Right now, Mike's thinking to himself, I didn't realize somebody needs some more fucking godarchy.
Yeah, I
It's
haven't
this
heard
guy.
that in a while.
That's a blast from the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thoughts from
This is
Maharrey
Scott.
Head. I feel like people didn't appreciate that title enough. Both
No, it's
because
I didn't either.
because that's his name and because his head's not hairy.
Yeah.
You know who came up with that idea, don't you? It
Who's that?
was my daughter.
Oh, really?
Oh wow.
She said, "You should call your podcast Thoughts from a Hairy Head." Ha 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 ha. And I thought,
okay.
that's not a bad idea.
Well, it's the thought that counts then.
It is.
All right. Well, one of the things that we were going to try to talk about tonight before we started opening up Gaza Lago in the Middle East is some of the good things that have happened since the start of this year, because there have been some good things. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that traditionally you think that, well, I don't have a lot of effect with things that are going up at the top of the chain. I can only affect the things immediately in my surroundings, and so I just have to take the good with the bad and carry on. But I think a lot of people had the attitude of, but I don't really see a whole lot of good things happening if, like, Joe Biden was still in office, at whatever age he was going to be. If 84-year-old Joe Biden, who is comatose, were president 3.5 years from now, I don't think most of us would expect a lot of good things. But there have been some good things happen. I think right off the bat, one of the biggest ones is, of course, Ross Ulbricht. Ross Ulbricht is a free man, and not just a free man, but for people that are only catching up to his story for the first time, he was not going to be free any other way. He had already exhausted his appeals. I don't want to sit here and rehash the whole trial and the way the prosecution was conducted and the investigators and where they ended up. I don't really want to get into all that, but just to say that there was not going to be any other way that he was going to breathe free air again other than a pardon. But it kind of raised two interesting things, though, didn't it, Mike? On the one hand, I'm really grateful that Ross is free, and I'm really grateful for his mother that she got her son back. And you're more than welcome to comment on that. But it also brought to light, both because of the end of the Biden administration and the beginning of the Trump part two, just the whole concept of the presidential pardon sort of got thrust into the mainstream there, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did, and I agree completely. I mean, if Trump doesn't do anything else, quote unquote, positive, I mean, that was a huge win, and a little more personal, having met his mom, and to know what it meant to her to have her son back. Yeah, but the whole pardon thing is crazy. I mean, I've heard people say this, and I think it's a fair statement. There's hundreds of thousands of people that are, like Ross, who are wasting away in prison cells that shouldn't be there. And that doesn't diminish the fact that, this individual gained his freedom, but it does kind of, it seems kind of arbitrary, doesn't it, Alan? It's like, this guy, he gets to go, but then this guy gets to continue to rot in prison. It's kind of weird when you think about it that way.
It does, and I know, and I'm not going to name any names because there's going to be some instances of things that I want us to talk about before we run out of time, where I know that some of our mutual friends and acquaintances fall on different sides of some of these things, and I'm not trying to denigrate any of them or their positions. My general position has just kind of evolved to be, you should really take a win when you can get it, because like in Ross's case. Look, if Donald Trump doesn't sign that paper, he doesn't go free. There's no point even worrying about the next guy. There wasn't even going to be a first guy. Right. And it is true that to a certain extent it is arbitrary that, like, well, there was a groundswell of support. There were advocates with connections to the incoming administration that helped to make this happen. And that's great. And could they have advocated for any number of other people? Yes. But we also know that that's not how politics works, right? You don't give me a favor of everything I want and then I give you it. That's not how it works. It's right. It's one ask for one ask. And so I'm not going to allow the fact that what did Milton Friedman always say is that Nirvana is not meant for this world. So I'm not going to allow the fact that the world is not any less broken today than it was yesterday change the fact that, well, at least this has been an overwhelmingly positive, life-changing thing for this group of people. Right. And of course, obviously, I mean, I was going to say, like, and it's not just Ross, right? Like, we have a lot of strong feelings about it, but of course, there's all the people involved with January 6th. There was all the pardons for those people, which obviously a lot more than just one person. And even though everybody's situation can be different and everyone's got their own backstory, everyone's the main character in their own story, right? And everyone's got their own friends and loved ones advocating for them and all that. But again, no matter what you think about what happened that day and what people did and didn't do, the overwhelming majority of those people did, frankly, very little. And we know for a fact they were politically persecuted. Like, call it what it is. They were politically persecuted. And we live in a world where, look, if one side of the political spectrum has targeted you for persecution, you better damn believe your only hope is people on the other side of the political spectrum showing you some. Because what are my thoughts and prayers going to do for you if they throw you under the prison? You're going to have to advocate for somebody to help you out, or that's it. So when it does happen, and it's true that it doesn't happen enough. Of course it doesn't. Of course we want to see nonviolent offenders let out. Of course we know that the prison system is garbage. Of course we know the judicial system is garbage. But I guess I'm allowing myself a little bit of time to, the opposite of mourning. I'm going to allow myself a little bit of celebration time for when good things do happen before I get back to the grind. I'm reminded of something that our mutual friend Ben White said. So Ben, if you're listening, I need better memes. Just FYI. Ben was talking to one of our mutual friends about this exact topic. A guy who was just going on and on and on about all these. Look, I'm glad Ross is free, but here's a million things wrong with the world. And all Ben said to him is you got to stop swallowing all the black pills. They're poisonous.
Yeah, I think it's hard for people who are engaged in the political sphere to kind of narrow down to that individual level. And you said something that kind of triggered something in my mind. You said that, maybe the world's still just as broken. But I mean, if you look at it in the reality, the world's a little bit better, right? It's a little bit less broken because a man who was unjustly imprisoned is now free. So yeah. That is the reality. It may not be huge, but it is in reality a little bit of a better place for a lot of people because of that one single act. And those things tend to ripple. Who knows what stage has been set for down the road. So I think it is fair to kind of step back and set aside for a moment the utopia that we all dream of and acknowledge the fact that, there's maybe one little less crack in the world right now than there was a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I'm certainly, I'm not a big Trump person, and I think that my credentials speak for themselves. Look, I get banned on social media every other week because I tell people that these people ought to be shot. So I don't think I have to defend my anarchist. I do. Yeah. These people. But the thing is that it's true that Trump may have said in his little statement that, well, like, look, I'm going to free Ross because he got railroaded by the same people that tried to railroad me. And you might think to yourself, well, you and Ross Ulbricht are two very different people enjoying very different life experiences. And you'd be right. But what's the alternative, right? Like, if he were just another cut from the same cloth conservative who had said that, you know, my thin blue line, respect the office, these folks are doing the best they can, blah, 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 blah. You know, thank you for your service. Then a lot of people who today are sympathetic or even learned about Ross for the first time either wouldn't have known about him or would have still held the same beliefs that a lot of mainstream people held, which is, oh, well, he's just a drug dealer. I hope he rots in prison. It's like, well, there's a lot wrong with that statement. But again, there's people that are sympathetic today that were not sympathetic, you know, a month ago, didn't even know who he was. And that's a good thing. I mean, that's reaching a lot more people than you and I could possibly have reached in the same time frame. It makes me think, we were talking about Defend the Guard earlier, and you had just mentioned like having kind of a narrow scope. It's like, look, there's some key people, and I know who you know who they are, that are very passionate about promoting Defend the Guard all across the country. And it takes years of dedication. It takes a core group of people that are just tireless in promoting it year after year after year. And then it takes them getting the support of people to email and phone call their representatives and go out to state houses and sit in the hearings and do all these things. On top of people like yourself who sometimes go to provide testimony about bills and things. But the thing is that if those same people, I'm willing to wager that those same people, and they're impressive people, but if those same people took the attitude of, well, I'm going to spend 5 minutes a day on these 8,000 different issues, they would accomplish exactly nothing. But if they only did Defend the Guard, and if they could just get their foot in the door on Defend the Guard, and then all of a sudden it gets out of committee in one state, and then all of a sudden, I mean, how many states is it already? It's already been introduced in like almost 20 states or something this year. It wasn't that many a year ago, and 2 years ago, and 3 years ago. So it's the needle's moving in the right direction, but I'm afraid it wouldn't be moving in that direction if the people who have done that work, I not only didn't do it, but had divided themselves amongst all the ills in the world. If their job was save the world, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, I think back, I think the first time that Defend the Guard legislation was introduced, at least in its kind of current modern form, I think it was 2016 by Representative Pat McGee in West Virginia. So that was what, 2016? We're almost a decade now into this.
Yeah.
And you know, the first couple of years, it was basically just McGee and Michael Bolden and me that were kind of pushing this. And now we've got this huge, kind of network of grassroots supporters that are pushing these bills through, and just had a huge victory this past week. It passed the Virginia House 99-0, which really surprised me.
Nice.
What?
So, yes. Yeah. So last year, or the year before last, was the first year it ever passed a full chamber. And I think that was the Arizona Senate. And then last year it passed, I think, in 3 full chambers. This year's the first time I've ever seen it pass unanimously, bipartisan, both sides of the aisle, in a state like Virginia, which is pretty close to Mordor over there.
Yes.
So, it's a huge victory, but you make a really good point. It takes a long time. I mean, if we had just given up in 2017 and thought, well, nobody's going to do this, well, then we wouldn't be where we are today. And, who knows, maybe this will be the year it'll pass through 2 chambers and go to a governor. I don't know, but yeah.
Why I hope it does. I hope that this is the year, because I mean, it just stands to reason that if the momentum continues, if it actually gets signed into law anywhere, then maybe it gets signed into law in more places.
Places.
Well, and also too, and I know that we tend to keep our focus like on the state level, but again, looking at the national level, a year ago, 4 years ago, 8 years ago, you didn't have people with really big national profiles, connected to like the current administration saying, oh yeah, this defend the guard. Yeah, I endorse this. I like what this is. And now you have that Pete Hegseth who just passed his confirmation. He actually got in with a tiebreaker vote by JD Vance. Of course, you have Tulsi Gabbard, who she hasn't been confirmed yet, but I think the Senate hearing hasn't happened yet for her. She's had her hearing. She hasn't had her committee vote yet, I don't think. Or maybe she has by the time we're having this conversation, and it's going to go to the full Senate. But I know Tulsi has as well. Tulsi's met with Dan McKnight and those guys and endorsed it. I mean, it's like on the one hand, talk is cheap, but on the other hand, they weren't even talking about it. It wasn't even. Yeah. It was just. It wasn't even political poison. It was political nothing to be having this conversation, a year or two ago. And so when you hear the horror stories of, such and such state introduced it, and then the Pentagon rolls out the red carpet of all these just loser fucking generals that come down and say, well, we can't have defend the guard because how are your kids going to die for my bank account? And so to have people at the highest levels of government repudiating the people across the hall. No one up there was repudiating people across the hall for you and me 5 minutes ago. So that is really something.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, we could go further, talking about the national level. And it's kind of hard for me because I don't typically pay attention to what's going on in DC, but some of the things that are happening, I mean, there's a possibility that we could see the Department of Education gutted.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
that's a win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I have some concerns about how it's being done, but that's, and I guess that gets into kind of the whole, maybe this is something we can kind of touch on a little bit. I have a little bit of cognitive dissonance because as you're pointing out, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, especially from a utilitarian pragmatic standpoint. We're having more wins right now than we've seen in years. There's also the principled side of me that gets a little bit nervous about the fact that we effectively have an elected king. So there's that part of it, and so that creates a little bit of cognitive dissonance in my mind. But I'm trying really hard to not be negative Nelly, because what good does that do other than make you miserable, right?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because again, I'm going to shield the names, but a couple of people that I believe are mutual acquaintances of ours were actually having a public disagreement on exactly this point earlier this very day, and I think they were debating the USAID, which is just fancy letters for the CIA gives people money to do what they want. Imagine that. I haven't got a penny of that, by the way. Look, what? we would go full on whatever these guys wanted if I could get my pallet of hundreds in my Helix.
Well, for full disclosure, my daughter's boyfriend works for a non-government agency that gets most of their funding from USAID. So,
so what you're saying is they're going to be eating a lot of ramen here pretty soon.
They might be.
Well. So they were having a public disagreement, particularly about USAID, but whether it was that, whether it was gutting the Department of Education, whether it's almost anything that's being done with the stroke of the executive pen, the argument basically boiled down to side A saying the USAID should be destroyed and they should salt the earth where it existed. Same thing goes for the Federal Department of Education. And so I don't care what they have to do it. If I wake up tomorrow and the bulldozers are plowing down the buildings, I'm just not going to sit here and worry too much about who gave what order to who and whether or not X, Y, and Z holds up to A, B, and C. And the other person was saying, I am for these things happening. I'm not for the way they happened. And I'll be honest with you, I strongly fall on that first side because we were going to have, a month ago, we were either going to have an elected king or an elected queen. And God only knows what kind of, I'm sure somebody would be enjoying a lot of wins right now, but it wouldn't be me. And so I'm afraid that we don't live in a constitutional republic. Does anyone actually still believe that? No, we don't. I don't believe that. I mean, look, again, as the person who says frequently and publicly that I would love for the streets to run red with the blood of these people that have done these things. They're all a bunch of pedophiles, thieves, and murderers. Why do I care about any of these people? Therefore, look, if they can, same thing with the federal workers. I think they're up to something like 40,000 now. Federal workers have taken Trump's little resignation deal where they're going to get a little severance, and then their positions hopefully will go away. Look, dude, I would love for that to be 100% of the federal workforce, but I'll take 40,000 because 40,000 is 40,000 more than I would have gotten otherwise, unless you can build a bulldozer with armor plating and protect your brake fluid and all that stuff. So I can't do it, Mike. I can't sit here and quibble over how it's done, knowing full well that none of those people care. None of those people care. I'll even defer to the words of one of the ones who is one of the most principled people in Washington, Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie, right this very second, is trying to introduce a concealed carry reciprocity bill at the national level. And I know that you and I have lots of friends that are really big into federalism and history and the Constitution who would say that's wrong because the federal government has no right to rule on anything related to the Second Amendment. That should be left to the states, blah, 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 blah. Well, I know that our opponents will take whichever side benefits them the most that minute. So why should I be reluctant to do the same? Because they're going to do it anyway.
I could argue the principal point, but this is your show, so I'm not gonna.
Well, how dare you? I don't know. I would just caution that there's going to be a political backlash, and at some point, there's going to be the people you don't like that are back in those seats of power, and every bit of power that is being extended and utilized now is going to be turned against you with a vengeance. And at some point, this cycle is going to have to break, or you're going to end up with literally blood in the streets. I think that's going to happen regardless. I really do.
That may be.
And I also think that whether we did things that made it come back with a vengeance, or whether we sat on our hands for 4 years and sang Kumbaya, they would do it anyway. I don't know who's going to win in 2028, right? Like who's going to be the nominees? Because the era of Trump's going to be over, right? Trump's going to be out of here in 2028. Is it going to be J.D. Vance? Is it going to be somebody else? Who are the Democrats going to run? Are they going to run a Kamala Harris again? Are they going to have an actual primary to distance themselves from, unburden themselves from what has been? I have no idea who the players are going to be. But if a right-winger wins, maybe they try to continue Trumponomics, or maybe they don't. Or maybe a left-wing candidate wins, and they do come swinging back with a vengeance. But I think that they're going to do that anyway. They're going to do it regardless of how we conduct our business. If anything, that's why I'm more excited to see what states can get done, because I think that the federal pendulum swing will continue until there is blood in the streets. I don't say that like a collapsitarian, by the way. I'm kind of over the collapsitarians too, because I think the collapsitarians are the nothing ever happens crowd. They just really want the boogaloo to get kicked off because they're ready to end this era of American history and move into the next one. And they say that as if like people's families aren't going to die and their children aren't going to starve, which is really weird to me. Like they say it as if it's going to be war games, and they don't factor in the human cost of that happening. I don't say it with joy. I just think it's going to happen. I don't know if it'll happen in our lifetimes, but I think it will. Because I don't see any way that we go back to I don't see us going back to practical restraints on government power. That's not going to happen. And how would one do that? As our friend Michael Bolden would say, we can't sit around and wait for the largest government in history of the world to limit itself So we have to think of ways of doing it. Well, say if the rubber actually hit the road and states decided to do that, what does that look like when the federal government says stop or else? What's going to be paving the streets then? But again, I want that to happen. But what is going to be the practical outcome of it? So in the meantime, until we get there, I'm more of the attitude of, look, if I got elected president and it was like, look, hey, Alan, here's a top 25 list of things. We don't care if these executive orders are legal or not. Just sign these orders and we just start ripping things out of the walls. I would sign them all.
I probably wouldn't, but that's just, I feel like I have to hold to my own personal principles to be true to myself, and be that how it turns out. That's how I'm going to conduct myself as long as I have opportunity to be on this rock.
So would you go to Mars then if you had the opportunity?
Oh,
you don't believe in the whole Mars trip thing?
I'm 58 years old. I don't want to go to a fucking another planet.
Now, I don't ever tell anybody you're 58 years old. See?
It's fact.
Yeah. I know you had a birthday recently.
I did, just last week.
I think I was just talking to our mutual friend Mike Clark not that long ago, and I said, yeah, Mike still plays hockey, and he's like 54. You should have just believed me and carried on.
Yeah. I could believe you, but my body doesn't. So there's that. Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time. So real quick before we go, I'm thinking about buying a gun. What's a good everyday carry?
Oh, geesh.
All I know is that you want something that's small. Don't oversize your daily carry, because it gets uncomfortable and then you'll just stop carrying it.
Ah, so you're the big believer of the the 380 in your hand is more valuable than the 44 in your glove box type person.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
I mean, not that you couldn't have a 45 in your glove box in addition to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, see, the other thing is I just want to have the one thing, because I'm not going to go out and buy a whole armory tomorrow. So it's like, well, I just want to have the one thing that practically serves every purpose, and then kind of go from there. There's people in chat wondering isn't it weird that Alan just said that he wants the streets to run red with blood, and then segued into what's a good everyday carry? All right, real quick before we go, I know one more. I'm sorry. Speaking of the streets running red, Mitch McConnell.
Oh God.
Yeah. so Mitch McConnell's.
Here's a fun anecdote, just real quick. Mitch McConnell. My grandfather worked for Mitch McConnell when Mitch was in city government in Louisville, Kentucky, back in the 1980s. My grandfather worked for Mitch McConnell. My grandfather's dead. He was 92 when he died. That just tells you how old Mitch McConnell is. Yeah.
See, I had read somewhere, I don't know how much validity there is to it, because, I mean, what do I give a damn about the state of Kentucky? I want to deport all the Kentuckians from Tennessee as soon as we're done deporting anyone else. But, they have Senator...
passport's ready for this event.
Well, they have this. They already have Senator Rand Paul, of course. I saw somewhere some people saying that if McConnell is heading to the great committee on committees in the sky pretty soon, then Massey should run for his Senate seat. But then it wasn't just some idle chat, because I saw people talking about it, and then Thomas Massey himself left like some cryptic type stuff on it.
Ooh.
That would be interesting. I know a little bit about the Kentucky political landscape, and Massey is in a district that is very friendly to his kind of libertarian leanings, kind of the way that Ron Paul was. I'm not sure how well he plays throughout the entire state. It'd be interesting.
Mhm.
But I think he would be taking a pretty significant risk of ending up not in DC anymore. But I mean, that's just from an outside looking in position. But
I'm not sure he even considers that a risk. I don't think he. I think if
well,
he doesn't
yeah,
have to go to
and
DC.
he might not.
Well, I don't know.
It might be a blessing.
I guess I get that because Ron Paul did that, right? Ron Paul never he ran for Senate once, I believe, and he never won. But he got back in the House. But I mean, they elected Rand Paul.
Yeah,
and he's a lot different than Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, but Rand ran as when he ran the first time, he ran much more as a kind of a conservative Tea Party Republican. Rand was the beneficiary of time and place, right? When he did his primary election, there was this great hatred for the establishment Republicans, and he beat an establishment Republican in the primary. And at that point, Kentucky was not going to elect a Democrat. So he kind of, I don't want to say lucked into this seat, but he was definitely a beneficiary of a time and a place.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I guess I would say I think Massey has a time and place. I think people really fucking hate Mitch. Right. I think people really fucking hate Mitch McConnell. And I think Massey could throw his hat in the ring. And I think that the Republican Party, by and large, has learned its lesson about trying to run opponents against Thomas Massey.
Right.
And then, and then if Donald Trump says, I endorse him. Well, is that it? Is that a wrap?
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely intriguing. That's for sure. Paul Massey, Senate, 2 Senate seats. That would be pretty cool.
If nothing else, I just think it's funny that, man, Paul Massey as Kentucky's 2 senators, that puts the other 49 states to absolute shame at that point.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. Mike, where can people go to check out whatever bullshit you're up to these days? I mean, I know, see, here's the thing, Mike, is that I know you do the medals thing, but I'm always like, yeah, we say some crazy shit on the show, and I don't know if his employer is really cool with the whole streets running red segment of the show. And so that's why I'm like, well, maybe we just keep it to 10th Amendment Center because Bolden doesn't give a shit.
Well, you can definitely go to 10thamendmentcenter.com and check out everything that's going on over there. This is an exciting time of year with all of the legislation that's working its way through the various state legislatures. And there are some really cool things going on. As we've already mentioned, the momentum with Defend the Guard. There's a good bit of a momentum as well with the sound money movement in the states. And so, yeah, you definitely check that out. And, if you just want to learn some interesting history about the founding and the Constitution, we've been churning out some really, really, I think, detailed and in-depth, really academic level articles, but for just a normal readership on like the anti-federalists and these different things that were going on that I think really, if nothing else, gives you some good context and political philosophy. So check that out. And if you're interested in, kind of the investing side of things and money, what's going on with the Federal Reserve, why inflation is going on, you can go over to moneymetals.com/news and you'll find a lot of my work over there.
I want to mention too, by the way, that he sent me 3 different tasks to do while we were on air, and he knows we're doing the show.
He knows.
Yeah.
He's probably sending me tasks too.
Okay.
But I won't look at them until tomorrow. So
take that. All right.
Show him.
Yeah, I know. Guys, we will be back to wrap up the show right after this commercial break. Can't go away.
If you're enjoying tonight's show, consider supporting the program by becoming a member of our Patreon. That's over at patreon.com/Alan Mosley.
Like our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Alan Mosley TV. You can follow me on Twitter. It's twitter.com/Alan Mosley TV. Subscribe to our YouTube page. It's youtube.com/Alan Mosley TV. But if you're more of a listener than a watcher, get us on your favorite podcasting platform of choice. Thanks to Spotify. It's Too Late with Alan Mosley or Alan Mosley TV. Don't forget to get your tickets to the 7th annual It's Too Late live show, coming to you Saturday, May 17th, here in beautiful Columbia, Tennessee. What the hell? What the hell was that, Dave?
I don't know, man.
You just getting wild with the buttons all of a sudden?
No.
Did you get bored in the last segment?
Did some tweaking.
Mike, do you have a final thought?
I'm just glad my internet held out through the whole show and we only had one
Hell
glitch.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you actually don't know this, but we also had a technical difficulty last week, too.
Well, that wasn't my fault.
No, that wasn't your fault, but I think I've started to tell people that with each new subscription we get, I'm going to start adding a day to that timer. But every time we have some kind of technical snafu, I'm going to subtract a day from that timer. And we'll see how many days we have left here come about May or so. I think I actually, people who have been to the event the last few years who didn't get to see us do an actual live show, like, we're bringing it back. We're bringing back the live show this year. It's going to be great.
It's so much fun. People, you need to come to this. It's a blast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To hang out with like-minded people, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
Plus, Tennessee in May. I mean, what's not to love?
We don't we mostly don't even talk about politics. We just talk about dumb shit. Yeah.
Meat pie.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're bringing back. Oh my God, we're bringing back the dessert bar too.
Oh.
Do you like banana pudding? If the answer is yes, you should come to the event. The answer is no, kill yourself. Actually, buy a ticket first. I mean, you're not going to need the money.
Right.
Yeah.
Buy a couple.
Yeah. Shout out to everyone who hung out for the whole show, including our friend Howard, who I know watches Path to Liberty Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays over at the 10th Amendment. Well, on the Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays that Bolden feels like doing a show, I sometimes find out, live at the scene, oh yeah, we're not doing one. I keep on saying that if he's not able to do a show, I should do it.
Yeah.
I should do it. I could do it. I could do Path to Liberty. It'd be great. I won't say any of the words that I say.
Well, you mentioned blood and streets in the same sentence.
Yeah. Well, what? Should I said blood and soil instead, Mike? Jesus. Guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of It's Too Late, and we will see you next week.
Hey.
Are we doing an after party?
I don't think that was... we shouldn't. I don't know. It's been a while, though.
It's been a while since we've done one, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been a long day.
See, you're the one talking me out of it, and then we won't, and then it'll be like, oh, I done that pretty well. And they're like, well, here I was willing to do one.
Well, don't let me stop you.
Well,
Yeah, we can do a quick one.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Look at that. Even the music's ending at the right time.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it's way too late with Alan Mosley.
I didn't like that one as much.
Well, that feels right now.
Yeah. It felt
Right now.
forced. Felt like you were forcing it.
I don't know. I felt it. I'm excited.
Dave ever been known to force it?
Force it.
Yeah.
It's better to ask. What is it?
It's better to ask forgiveness than permission.
Not in all.
See, you
aspects
don't
of life, I
ever
guess.
say this shit on the show. You wait. You say all the funny things in your head all the way up to when the show starts, and then it's just fucking zip it. And then 65 minutes later, it's all Dave's back. Fuck you. Fucking hate. Oh man, I feel like I haven't. I feel like I haven't done this in a while. Like actually doing the episode and putting it on the thing, and it's probably because they suck, you know.
But I actually had my earmuffs on the other day, and I was listening to one of them. I'm trying to remember which one it was. I think it was before the train wrecks, the consecutive train wrecks. But yeah, I've been listening to a recent one. I feel like I'm too big here. I'm going to move myself out a little.
No, don't. Oh, you're gonna start moving shit. Here we fucking go. I'm just so
No, I'm
happy
not
it's
gonna-
working, and now you're doing this.
There we go.
All right.
Oh, no.
It's
I don't like that.
whatever. It's fine.
There we go. Go with
This
that.
is episode 341. We need to sell more tickets to the live event, and we need more people to sign up to the deadline thing for the monthly membership thing. So let's brainstorm real quick while we're uploading the episode. How can we make that happen? Just by the way, the answer can't be us advertise it, because all the algorithms and all the websites say, no, you don't get to do that. Look at our numbers right now. We were rocking like 1,000 live viewers for a while.
Yeah.
And then I told some Jews to kill themselves, and boom, just like that, we're down to under 100. I mean, it's not me, you know, it's not like I can't change, you know.
No, the algorithms should change.
Yes, all of you guys should change. I can't.
Social media should change.
Excuse me, sir, I'd like to speak to social media, please.
The manager of social media.
Yeah. I wish I was the manager of social media. We've got hold on. You might want to hit that bartender music if you got it.
Who's losing it?
Wait,
What do you got?
no, that's the ending music. I don't want the ending music. Where's do we not have it? I hate
it in
this
this
fucking
thing?
show. I hate everything. I'm just gonna
First.
Yeah. This show's already gonna be demonetized because of that one song in the memes. Who even gives a shit? I don't know. I can't do it without the thing. All right, hold on, Dave. Just sit here for a second. All right.
Go to
Yeah, we're just
I
gonna.
mean, we could go to.
No, just I got it. You can't be trusted. This is too important. All right. It was pretty spot on. It's true that he helps a lot around here. We joke about how often he picks the wrong container size to put his chili or soup away.
Oh.
He made it sound like leftovers don't get eaten here, though. They do.
Oh.
Not every single time, of course. But they get eaten. And yes. Yes. He makes way too much food. Sometimes.
Sometimes. Not perfect.
We are blessed. I feel like both of y'all are using "we are blessed" the way us Southerners do "bless your heart."
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust it.
Oh my goodness, we are so blessed.
Yeah. So, anyway. Well,
Oh,
I guess
were you done with
there's
that?
enough of that then, huh? I guess we're just going back here. Jesus.
There
All
we
right.
go.
Well, Mary, if you don't like my rendition of your message, then you know what? You'll just have to go down to the basement and tell us.
Oh, she won't do that.
Nah, she won't. She won't do it.
She's probably working on the curriculum. She's always working on the curriculums.
Curriculum. Look,
I swear,
Just
she works harder
just-
on school than these kids do.
just take whatever dumb shit D3 learned and give it to the next one. It's easy. Just do it.
We're learning as we go.
Oh, yeah?
All of our mistakes we make with D3, we try to straighten those out for the rest.
Yeah. I used to think that there was a little bit of that in my family. Like, you know, my brother would go through stuff, and then it's like, okay, well, then it's Alan's turn like 4.5 years later, because there was that age gap between me and my brother. But actually, my brother's just a fucking retarded faggot, and I'm not. And so it's just, I'm just better in every way. It's not that they got better. It's that I am better. You see?
Yeah, you're working on that self-improvement that we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
The first step.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
To
since
acknowledge that you're
I'm
better than everybody else.
yeah, since I'm better than my brother in literally every way, that made their lives a lot easier.
Yeah. You were a blessing to your parents.
I was. You know, I was almost born on their anniversary, and then I ended up being born the next morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that was very considerate of you. You're like, no, you guys have this day.
Yeah. That's just me, you know.
Mhm.
That's what I'm that's what I'm about. That's what I'm about.
Thinking about other people. Yeah.
Yeah. Celeste says Alan looks jaundiced. Well, the hell?
Maybe it's because I'm so rosy. I can't get my color right here.
It's well, that's because you got all that fancy stuff in there. You can just change. You can just go Sith Lord. You can do whatever. Look at this shit, you guys. Dave just says words. Yeah, he just spoke a spell, and now he's a dreaded ice lich. Look at that.
Kind of neat.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Hey, Google. Set studio to green.
Oh. Oh, you've left us.
Oh, this is neat.
You're in the other place now. Wow. All right. Yeah.
Cool.
That's certainly something.
Hey, Google. Set studio to 5,500K. I don't know what to call that. There's no easy way. Now it's got to do the math. There we go.
Wow. Dave is Smurfy. Dave is an avatar alien. Wow.
So sometimes,
Rip Dave.
sometimes like when we want to turn down the lights, we'd set them to brown. It's kind of like, it's like one of the darker settings. But I found out like if I have them in brown in the bathroom, and like say you just like ate chocolate or something and you spit into the sink, it just looks like blood. And it actually scared the shit out of me one time because I forgot that I'd eaten chocolate, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Lungs are giving out. Something's wrong. Just hawking up blood.
Why does
Can't
it feel
tell a
like
family.
Why does it feel like you're
Start
echoing to me?
Am I?
I don't know.
Mary's mic's on. So you're probably getting 2 inputs there. Should be better, right? Better?
Sure.
Cool. I'm good at this.
It's fine. It's whatever. What are you drinking? You're not supposed to be drinking. What's that? What's going on?
No, I'm doing good. I
I didn't ask you how you were doing. I asked you.
Yeah, I'm drinking Southern Tier 2X Juice Jolt. Yeah,
I'm the police officer, and I say, "Sir, have you been drinking tonight?" And you said, "No, I'm good."
just no thanks. I've had plenty.
Why do men drink
couldn't
out of bottles
possibly
like
have-
this? Yeah.
Gotta keep your eyes on the road.
Oh man. I'm only, let's see. Yeah, I won't even be a full week back on the Dachau diet until Saturday. And I'm just,
I was doing pretty good, and then I cheated at the Otters game, the hockey game, because they gave us like hot dogs.
Dave cheated at the Otters game.
Yeah, that's a couple minutes when she stepped out.
Mm-hmm. What the fuck does this mean?
Got it on. Yeah.
What's this I hear about you not going to work? Well, I thought we talked about this. If I have to be at work, you have to be at work.
Yeah. Well, I'll make up for it. I'll work a bunch of 12s.
Okay. Because whenever I'm out on my route and I hear that you're not working, I just get so mad. I just start throwing people's shit right up against their fucking doors.
I'm like, hey, I'm going to take off early. I'm going to be out pretty soon. And I could just hear your engine revving.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck you are.
Yeah, people don't know. I send Dave, like, sometimes I send progress reports of, like, literally from my app of how I'm doing, and Dave can see so many laws I'm breaking. Like, you can't.
Yeah, I love the one where you're like, I'm a menace.
Dude, it should be illegal the way I do my job, which it is.
I think it is,
and it should be. Yeah.
It should be. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at the square mileage and then the number of stops and then what time I got home, it doesn't come together.
No, the math ain't mathin'.
Mm-mm. No, sir. You know, they finally said something about that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they finally said something. When was this? I think this was a couple of weeks ago. No, it was back when I got sick. Remember when I like almost died of dehydration because I just did. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I was like sick for a few days, and it's like I wanted to go back to work at the end of that week, and I was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll go back to work on Friday." And I woke up on Friday. I was like, "Nah, there ain't no way, ain't no way."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And even when I went back to work on that Monday, it's like, well, if I have to go slower, I just have to go slower. And I texted my boss that. My boss was like, "Hey, you good for Monday?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll be good for Monday. Look, if I got to go slower, I got to go slower." And he actually texted me back and said, "Yeah, we can see the pace that you're keeping. It's pretty crazy." That's it. That was the whole conversation.
We're all really concerned.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we can actually, yeah, like we can see on the map your data points, and it's not looking right. So just be safe. They did a Mary.
Safe,
they just said, "Be safe, Alan." Yeah. Notice they didn't say stop. Notice that?
Oh.
They just said,
I did notice that.
yeah, no, they didn't say stop.
Yeah, we know. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Man, how'd you get to Nashville in 12 minutes? It's like an hour away. You know?
Quantum delivering.
Yeah. I have to go fast enough that they can't replace me with a drone.
That's pretty fast. Because drones don't have a lot of traffic. They're flying.
No, I'm not going to be beaten up with my fucking
Those school
machine.
zones.
Yeah, I've got a couple of those, but you know.
What is that story about the guy like racing the machine to lay like a railroad track? How does that end? Does he die?
Yeah, he died.
I think he might die. And worked himself to death. But fuck that machine though, right?
Mine's John Henry. He's a steel driver who was going against the
Okay.
steam engine. So the
Okay,
steam
yeah.
the steam power versus him. Every single one of those folklore end with "and then they died." All of them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of true. I mean,
Yeah. That's how it all ends.
so why should I worry about? Mhm.
Lyle says, yeah, when I slipped and fell at work, they told me not to go on the roof when there's a contractor out there. Made no sense. I'm late on the beard this year. I don't know how much growth we're gonna get.
Yeah, it's already February. We're moving right along.
I'm just at that irritating point where my mustache is interacting with my nose hairs. And it's driving me nuts.
Well, you see, I'm back in the groove of, I used to always shave before we did a show because, you're supposed to be clean shaven when you do a late night show. And then I kind of got lazy there for, I went to a dark place there for a while.
Evil Alan. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I'm back. We're back. I think I just got tired of being called sir. So I just started shaving again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's my own fault too, because remember a few years ago when I lost all that weight by only eating one omelet a day and starving myself. Looked great though. And then after I did the diet, I was like, well, I should cut my hair. That'll be like another big change,
Yeah.
And then I cut my hair off, and then everyone was like, who the fuck is that? And then as a twisted turn of events, I gained back like a third of the weight and then grew my hair back out. So I'm back to me 4 months before that day. Why did I do that?
Yeah, you can't fight it. That's your zone.
Obese
Your body
and
will always
unhappy.
pull you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm going to lose the weight again because I just... The good thing is, it's like, there's a silver lining, is that when I did it before, I had a lot more weight to lose. Now I only want to lose like, I don't know, like 20 pounds maybe, and that'll be it. And then I probably will cut my hair again, but I don't think I'm going to chop it all off at one time. I might we'll figure it out. Good night, Lyle.
Night. See, the thing about when you have like a lot of weight to lose, like you got like 60, 80 pounds to lose, the first 20 is easy. You get that win right away.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're already down, then you're right in the struggle zone.
Yeah. See, when I did that before, I lost like 60 pounds. And now it's like...
Isn't that fun?
That's certainly one way of describing it. I mean, I went from like... Yeah, I mean, I went from like low 240s to like mid 170s. And right now I'm like right at 200. Oh. So now I just need to go from like 200 to the 170s. That's nothing compared to 240 to the 170s.
Yeah.
So I think
240 is where I'm at right now.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be hard. To be honest, like I don't mean to say it in an asshole way. I don't think it's really that hard to lose weight. The trick is that when you do it, it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
And the answer is, let's all go to Poncho's. Yeah. Who's hungry? Yeah.
It's time to celebrate.
Hell yeah, it is. So I'm going to do it again. I'm doing the hardcore diet. I'm eating like eggs and meat and drinking water. And that's basically it. And I feel fine. I bitch about it, but I actually feel fine.
And other than you're not allowed to eat what you want to eat, you actually feel better. Like energy's better. You're not farting. It's amazing. Like it's like your body's just operating better. Have you noticed that? Like if you cut out carbs, you just don't fart anymore.
Well, the thing is that I was kind of running into is it does regulate your bowel movements, but that's not what I was thinking. What I was thinking is like, I went a long time without having carbs, and then when I got back onto carbs, big shocker, I start to have more like nagging injuries, like more inflammation, more joint pain, knee issues, back issues. And it's like, well, what does me drinking this tasty milkshake have to do with my knee hurting? And it's like, well, it's affecting your blood flow. It's affecting, it's causing inflammation and stuff like that. And so it's like, surprise, surprise, you change your diet, but you don't change your work, but then suddenly work gets easier.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's nuts. So like, I mean, it's only the first week of February. When I'm on the really hardcore diet, I'll lose like 3 to 4 pounds a week. So like, we're talking like 10 weeks and I'll be already like well on the way. So I should have time to spare. I'm not too worried about reaching my goal this time. I'm more already thinking ahead too. It's like, okay, when you reach your goal and summer gets here and the weather's nice and you're fitting in all your smaller shorts and t-shirts, or what are you going to do?
Feeling comfortable in a t-shirt.
Yeah, what are you going to do to not have to revisit this again?
And then, like an Alzheimer's patient, here we are again.
Yeah. Here we're going to be doing fucking episode 476. That thing's just been blinking zeros for 2 years.
You're in a sugar coma.
I actually don't know what that thing's going to do.
What if it does it for you? Derek packed a little C4 in there for you.
He's a good friend.
I know he's going to chicken out.
Yeah. Oh, I meant to mention that in our little credit scroll. I forgot. Thinking about our friends Derek and Celeste.
Yeah.
Because they're listen to this about Derek and Celeste. So first of all, they've come to multiple events, which as you know, that's nuts. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You've been to one.
You've seen one.
Yeah. Look, I saw Columbia. They're into, there's mule stuff in every place.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like obsessive. Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought Alan was joking. I didn't realize such a big thing. Every
Mules
other
everywhere. Business
is, there's the Muletown bar, and then there's the Muletown grocery, and there's the Muletown used cars. Who would have thought? And there's the Muletown.
Really?
Yeah. It's
Could be
crazy.
Your whole identity.
Yeah. We really lean into it for all like 200 years. It's a pretty big thing. I've always said it would be so cool for us to do an annual event around Mule Day, to just go all in on it. Get a camera crew out there. We all just do the Mule Day thing with our whole crowd. But the two biggest problems with it is, for one, it's the first week of April, and it can be great weather. It can still be kind of rainy and shitty. You don't really know. And the second problem is, y'all have to reserve your Airbnbs for Mule Day from like 5 years from now.
2 years. Yeah.
You cannot. There is nowhere for you to stay. It's nuts how many fucking people
I had no idea
come
there
here.
was that many mule fans in this world.
It's kind of weird. You've been to this town, so you've seen what Columbia looks like, and in your mind, kind of do the mental math of, this is like 50,000 people. I'm looking at 50,000 people in this town. All right. There will be over 250,000 people here for Mule
I don't know
Day.
how you guys put up with it. Yeah.
I don't even know where they come from and how they know about it.
Yeah.
It's like,
I didn't.
we have international planes show up.
Yeah.
We've had tour groups from like Japan and Korea show up to Mule Day. And it's like, how
Like
does
somebody's
one
just scrolling.
Yeah, how does
Somebody's
one
just scrolling the internet like, honey, we wanted to do mule things.
Mhm.
Look at this. Look at what they got going on.
Yeah. Well, they would have said like, ching chong, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I guess that's Chinese.
Asians love mules. Yeah.
Yeah.
I caught it. Yeah, there's Mandarin, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. And this 1 week after we had the official Asians of It's Too Late on the show.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't very cash money of us.
that? The episode just got uploaded. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, good.
Let me go ahead and
wild.
pound that publish button real quick. Oh god. Now actually Michael Bolton did send me a bunch of tasks to do during the that
He's
actually
just
did happen.
He knows
Yeah.
what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he knows. Yeah, he knows. Yeah. In fact, he knows that Mike was here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what the craziest thing to me ever is, I don't even remember what happened, but something came up. It was something like when I say he, the 10th Amendment Center had tweeted out like content that they would normally tweet out. And then somebody said, there's always those fucking retarded people. Somebody said something retarded, and then, it like came up in their little tweet or newsletter or whatever. Look at this retarded thing this person said. And so I brought it up to him. So like me, an intellectual, is saying, look at this retarded person. And then Michael Bolton goes, if only there was a website he could go to get the information he needs.
I have that site.
It kind of concerns me a little bit that good, respectable people. Yeah, that wasn't an appropriate use of the button, but yeah, absolutely.
I haven't pressed that in so long.
I know, you don't do any buttons anymore. You don't do anything.
No. I forget that they exist. Most of them.
I think we need to bring back some of the buttons, but I took them away because they were just taking up space. I started replacing some of the buttons with things just for me, like just to make me feel good. Like this is in here just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that. Something comforting about that button.
Mm-hmm. You don't know this because you didn't join us most weekends, but most of the weekends that we were like watching NFL Red Zone and stuff on our Discord, our little football watch parties, we have our little buttons on standby. We got our laugh reacts and our golf claps. Like we basically do NFL Red Zone the same way we do this show. But my absolute favorite was anytime, because football is a contact sport, so sometimes awkward things happen. So anytime there would be like some dudes doing grinding it out, and then the announcer would say something like, "Oh, he really just burst into that hole," and then there'd be like
some real deep penetration.
Yeah.
This is gonna be my legacy right here.
It is. It's such a perfect song too. That's what kills me. I'm a music guy, so I'm like, damn, that's so good. Why can't the Dave who made that show up here Wednesday nights at 9:00 Eastern time?
No, you can't. That's bottled lightning, man. You can't capture that. It just happens when it happens.
See, that's the problem, is that it does happen when it happens, and it always happens the 30 minutes prior to the show or after.
Yeah, I use it all up.
Michael Bolton just sent me another task. Literally right now. What it is, it's Georgia defend the guard, Kentucky defend the guard, and Virginia defend the guard. Pretty big on that stuff.
We had that guy on our show. That Dan McKnight. He was on Liberty Late Night.
Oh, yeah?
That was years ago. Yeah, that was fun.
The episode was successfully processed. You know what that means.
Good. I get to go to bed.
Brian subscribed for 31 months, who said, sorry I'm so late. Why couldn't you have changed that so to 2?
Oh.
So close. He almost said it.
You need a button for that too.
Yeah, we do. We've been saying for legitimately 3 years that we need the button
Yeah.
for the secret password. Dadgummit. Yeah, Brian. Mike Maharrey was here earlier, and I made him really uncomfortable, and he refused to implicate himself in my felonies. Did you notice that?
Why is it a whole minute?
What the hell's going on over there?
No. No.
Today's secret word is door. Today's secret word is fun.
I was trying to find just the screaming part.
Yeah, see, I think that there was one weekend where I was like, yeah, I'll do a little research onto this, and I didn't really find anything I felt really good about. And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole of it's going to take some more effort to actually make something.
Yeah.
As soon as I realized it was going to be effort, I noped right out of there. I feel like I haven't heard this song in a while, even though it literally ends every single show.
We haven't ended a show properly in a couple weeks.
I think it's because normally at the end of the show, I'm just, like by the time the end gets here, I just see red, like I'm switched off. I don't. That's right, Aaron. Brian should join us. Everybody should join us. Everybody, if we get a big group, then I'm going to pay the money to actually have a persistent server for 7 days to die, so everyone can get on and play at their own leisure. Whenever they want. It's so much
Doesn't that
fun.
mean like Horde Night could just happen when nobody's there?
It could. Maybe it's just you.
Yeah. Hiding in my hole.
Oh, they find you.
Uh,
Yeah, they know where it is. Yes. If we get enough people, I'll actually pay for the persistent server. Otherwise, I have to actually be on and I'm hosting the game. But if we get 6, 8 people, then I'll just pay for the persistent, and then everyone can just come and go whenever they want. But it's a fun game. I mean, not only is the game fun, but what makes it fun is that you're just, hanging out with the gang. It's mostly just you listen to Aaron screaming because something terrible befell him. Or like the other night when we were on and we had perfectly crafted this little underground base in the basement of a abandoned house. And then our friend D3 got on for not even 90 seconds, and then we just hear, oh no, and then we go and look, and half the base is caved in. Don't even know what happened. And then after that, I was like, well, I better be going. Get off.
well,
Yeah. Guess.
gotta get out of here.
Yeah, it turns out I do have homework to do after all. Disconnect. Okay, Aaron, you're the one who fell and broke your leg. I didn't push you. So, just want to
Ooh, there's no
emphasize
fall
that.
damage.
Yeah. But there is, though. We gotta bring back game nights, man. Game nights were so much fun. Now my earbuds are dead. Now I gotta switch to this bullshit at the last
Now you look like a
possible
real
second.
podcaster. You look like Joe Rogan or something.
I do want to bring back game nights. Well, see, now that football season's over, and there's not like
Yeah,
Monday
we got
night,
more time.
yeah. I mean, I wasn't gonna miss Monday night football for no. And when I say game nights, I don't mean marbles. No. We have to watch Dave fail. That's what makes game nights so fun. Tell you
Not
what,
exactly a pro gamer.
the bomb defusal thing was pretty lit for the first night or two.
We got too good at it.
Yeah, it got too
No.
real. Yeah. But
too serious.
I figured y'all just watch Speed, so it's like,
Oh yeah,
get back in the game.
yeah. We were talking about that.
Yeah. I don't think I ever asked you if you have a final thought.
I don't.